Call this meeting to order. This meeting and all meetings of this committee are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the press with accordance with Wisconsin statute, so citizens may be aware of time, place, and the agenda of this meeting. Roll call.
Kemp.
Here.
Gunderson.
Here.
Gage.
Here.
I could ask for a motion then to approve the minutes from our regular monthly meeting on July 12th and the special committee meeting we had on July 18th, 2016.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Citizens appearance, we have none at this time. Number 4, discussion on emergency siren control system.
Just a quick note, you'll remember as we were moving through the City Hall construction, we had removed the siren, refurbished it, and we had a need to replace the controls because as far as electrical went, the electrician did not feel comfortable that the building that we had or the garage was sufficiently protected from any overloads we may have. So all the electric and everything has been upgraded. Everything's in good working order. We did authorize a temporary solution, which is a box and a physical switch in the back room up here. We do have a fire siren and we have a weather siren. And the temporary switch was put in because it was the quickest we could get in. And it was also, I believe, it was like in the neighborhood of $600, $700 to get that done, get the siren working. So we got that done in early April. At the time, we had multiple quotes to get this completed. One was from Heartland, who believed that they had a company they could work with. And then maybe they didn't have a company that could make it work, and then they did, and we had a little bit of a back and forth there. And then at the very end, it sounded as though we got the pricing from Krieger and Krieger's potential supplier. And the pricing on a temporary siren was $600. Pricing on a permanent siren, which is the information you have in front of you, it's a Generation 3 wireless siren activation and control. The price we had quoted for a permanent is $3,400. Because there are some notes in this packet of information where Krieger Electric indicates that it will take some time to put this in, to set radio frequencies, to coordinate and program radios, run times, those types of things, we went with the temporary solution. The other reason we did that was because the $3,400 price for this system includes a 10% markup by the subcontractor, and Immel would mark that up 10% as well. So the temporary we got in $600-700, and when you take those markups out of $3,400, essentially we would end up paying the same price to get a temporary solution that works, and then a permanent solution that works as well, if it's this system. You know, so we take off the $700-800 in markup, which is what we spent to put it in. Does that make sense? So we do have the siren operating. The problem is we do need somebody to get to this building and flip the switch. We have dealt with Heartland and a couple of potential suppliers, and it sounds as though the price, which could be in the neighborhood of about $2,500 for this wireless siren control, is a price that the others probably cannot touch. And so we've kind of had them fade off into the darkness a little bit. Haven't really gotten a response yet on another solution. That being said, Krieger had done their own shopping of this out because we had asked them to, and they do indicate in their email that they spent an hour of research on who they could go with, did work on different potential solutions, and this is the one that they came up with. So it has the ability for a fire siren. It has the ability for the weather siren, which is what we need. It has the ability to be programmed for a curfew siren, which is the 9 o'clock that we used to have, which a lot of people are asking about. So it'll do everything we need it to do, and more importantly, it can be controlled by a radio, and probably by the radios that we already have, as long as we program them. So we may have, as this email suggests, Weyauwega County Emergency Communications may have the ability to control our siren. We may have some controllers in the building, and potentially our officers, fire department, may now have the ability to hit our siren if we needed it. So that's a very, very advanced level of operability compared to what we had in the past. So what we will do, or what we can do if we get your blessing is, you'll notice that this was back in April that we were trying to get this done. Part of the wait has been by design, because to get away from working under the contract with ML and markups, we're waiting for the contract to be closed out. Now, as you three will know, that hasn't happened yet, but we hoped it would be. What we have gotten from ML is, ML has said, if you feel like you want to go outside the contract to get this done, or this is something you just want to get done, just go. So what we do need to do is to firm up a little bit of the pricing, because what we would probably recommend is that we would purchase this direct from the manufacturer, because that's where we can get back to the savings and get back to the original price we would have paid anyway. But what I'd like to do right now is to gauge your thoughts and see if we might be able to get a blessing for pursuing this, or recommending that we pursue this. Because if we can firm up in the next week or two what the pricing will be, what a timeline will be, potentially at the August council meeting in 2 weeks, we could get the ball rolling to get the permanent solution rolled out. If that's acceptable. And that's all I have for right now, unless you have any questions.
This is the one with Krieger Electric, right? When you want it?
Yeah, that's all one.
So basically, Krieger they did all the legwork on it, but what we would look to do is to buy it direct and not go through Krieger. So if we need Krieger's the electrician that's worked on this building, so the ancillary electrical that's gonna have to be put together, I'm assuming they'll have some work in it, but we won't have an automatic markup on this machine or on the control. We could buy the control and have it installed by Krieger. Or we could buy it from Krieger and have them install it. I mean, however it's gonna go, that would be covered under the firming up the price.
I'd be looking at that because you may run the risk of upsetting them if they did the legwork. You go buy it online, and then you call them up and say, "Hey, I've got it. Come install it." There are some people that they really don't take kindly because that's their business, right? And it'd be something to ask.
Yep.
It's a fair point.
Otherwise, I really like it. I like that it doesn't, not by phone, because if the phones go out, if the cell towers go down, if something happens, radio frequency will probably still be up. So that part I like. I like the part that the county can do it. I would just want to make sure that if the county does it, if there's some that we don't somehow override it, turn it on and off by two people trying to do the same thing. If you're doing it, if the chief can do it from his radio somewhere, and if he doesn't realize that county has already activated it, but I'm sure that would be somewhere in the setup. Other than that, it sounds like it's what we need. Other than running it, flipping a switch, which really isn't practical.
Yeah.
I think that'd be something you have to set up those standard with the county, is that if the fire department would get called out, that they would automatically be the one that would dispatch the sirens.
Right. I agree. There'd have to be, sit down and make some rules
Yes.
up, but that's secondary. So you're looking for a motion to purchase this? Or motion to go ahead and investigate it, I guess is what you're looking for, right?
Right.
Or do you even need a motion, or do you just want a blessing?
And just,
Yes.
I mean,
No, what I'd like to get is, if you could recommend that we
So you have a paper
proceed
trail.
towards purchase of this system, but the underlying theme on that is that we're going to firm up the price, we'll firm up the timeline. We will talk to Krieger Electric. I mean, Krieger Electric's been hired for some extra work here too.
Okay.
That the other part of this is, I'm not too worried about upsetting them, because what we've kind of told them is for the next year or two, because they put everything into this building and everything's under warranty, we're calling them when things need to be addressed here, and I think that's, they're in Clintonville. So, I mean, they're local in the county, but they're also the ones that have all the work here that's warranted, and that probably ties their hands to having to work with them, so.
Well, I'll make a motion for the first sentence of your paragraph.
And I have to go back and watch the instant replay like I do every night.
So I'll make a motion that we go with the Generation 3 wireless siren activation and control.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. We already had discussion, any more? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Next, we move on to number 5, department update.
It's been an interesting 8 days. You'll notice that the calls for service, citations, mileage isn't in the packet today. I'll email that out probably the first part of next week. As many of you know, last week was tied up with the 2-vehicle accident at the railroad tracks that ended up being a $1 million property damage accident, which caused a considerable amount of headaches for a lot of people. That appears to have rectified itself, as it appears that they're done with that section of work down there, but I think there's some other tweaking that's going on along the rails because there are people still there every day. But the gates are up and working, and the road is open, signs are down, so there's that. We also had a call for service. You may have read in the paper, which was an extortion case. An individual was threatening his mother that he was going to turn her in for the drugs that he was in possession of and a wide variety of other stuff. We ended up going over there, getting a substantial amount of marijuana, weapons, Suboxone patches, some other things. He's currently incarcerated in the Weyauwega County Jail. And follow-up to that was yesterday's ordeal. So we've been running pretty much for the last 8 days nonstop, just trying to keep up. The one comment that I'd like to make is the follow-up with what Patrick said earlier, is that yesterday, by chance, I happened to come across what was happening in the park. It was actually so early in the event that nobody had gotten around to contacting me and letting me know what happened. And I showed up, and I don't know how many minutes behind the first responding officers, there was 3 of them. And after it was all said and done, talking to Sergeant Leschke, and he could comment too, is these kids are her employees in the park. Though the outcome was not favorable, did something that was incredible. Brandon told me that when he arrived, and I could almost feel what he was going through, as he's exiting his car with his medical bag heading up to the patient, he observed that they were already doing CPR, and as he got close to the patient, he saw that they had already hooked up the AED and were getting ready to use it. So they followed their training and protocol to the letter, and I don't know how much more we can commend what they did. It was incredible. And then the ancillary things that happened afterwards, which were other staff members clearing the park. Brandon closed the park, so there were no rubberneckers, people watching. We got everybody out and maintained a scene, which we at the time didn't know if it was going to be a crime scene or an accident scene. And until that event was over with and subsequently dealt with again today for many hours, I think it's important that we acknowledge these kids in the amazing effort that they made to help this individual. We know there's some extenuating circumstances that some of which they're not aware of, but when it came to the time that they were informed that there's a potential rescue, they went and they took care of business. And I'm proud of them. I'm very proud of Brandon and the officers that responded and how they handled it very professionally. And it's a difficult thing to do. Brandon and I were talking earlier, and for us, you know, that's part of our job, and we see things like that on a regular basis through police service, fire service, and the EMTs do. But for these kids, that was probably the first time they've had to deal with something as tragic as that. And they did what they were supposed to do, and they should be commended for it. And I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Brandon. It was it was a chaotic situation that they handled professionally, I guess.
I would just ditto everything that the chief just said, and like I said, I can't begin to describe the level of professionalism that those 16 to 18, 19-year-old young adults displayed up there. It was spot on to everything that they needed to do. Even as the event was, we were working through it, I mean, they remained professional, level-headed, and dedicated to their responsibilities. And I think it wasn't until much time later when they actually had a chance to sit down and really think about what was happening. But it's a tremendous group of kids that's up there, and they did a fantastic job.
And that's it. I have, for a department update, I'll email first part of next week the calls for service. And there's a couple other minor things that are not of any significance, but those three events have pretty much taken up the last 8 days. And we're trying to catch up.
Did you want to say something?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No, just listening.
Okay. I didn't know if you had your
I
hand up or
personally-
not, but yeah.
I agree that I
Yeah.
believe something should be done too, because like you said, Brandon said, you know, this is probably their first time at that, having something like that happen, and then, like you said, after it's all done, then you go sit down under a shade tree or on a bench and you realize really what just took place, what they just did. I hardly agree that something needs to be done by this council,
Right.
whether it's this committee or whether it's a whole council.
I would think the
or
council,
whatever- Or whatever.
We're looking into some options for civilian service awards, recognitions.
That was my question, do they have,
I'm sure there is.
is
I
there
mean,
something that they're,
we just got to do a little research to find it, and that would be, you know, probably some sort of a plaque and a pin of some sort that they would come in here and get recognized by the council
Is he-
for.
you know, like does the Red Cross, I mean, because that's who they go through to get their CPR and their training. You know, do they have something that can honor them with a plaque, a pin, or something that we can do?
We're looking into that for sure. For sure. Yeah.
Because I will, and I know it's recorded, but I can tell you that I saw some stuff on this Facebook thing. I'm not very happy at some people's remarks on there. But you always get some people like that, but I think that the community itself really had a lot to say for what them kids did and what they went through.
And they came to their defense, and I think I know which one you're talking about, because I watched it, and Brandon and I kind of coached him and said, you're gonna run into that, and it happens to all of us. I mean, in public service, that people are gonna make negative comments, and I saw when one of the negative comments was made, several people in our community fired up right away and said, hey, you weren't there, and cut these kids some slack, and they knew that was gonna come, but the majority of them were supportive. And Mr. Potratz too, he was helpful, and, you know, he's been their teacher since forever, so he had a good relationship and a rapport with them, and was able to transition from the park to the follow-up.
I guess just to add one more thing, I know it's on TV or it's recorded and put on the internet, it's been on the news, but given extenuating circumstances and unique circumstances that led up to this tragic event. From the point that the lifeguard staff was made aware of the missing person, and I say that very loosely, it's by no fault of the staff that this happened. The rescue from start to finish was minutes. I mean, had they been notified a little bit sooner, again, given the circumstances involved, this could have a potential whole different outcome. I mean, their rescue was probably no less than, I would say, 4 minutes, start to finish. So it was a tremendous effort of their attempts.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Okay, nothing else as far as department updates, then we'll move on. Any other such matters authorized by law?
I would just say we'd be looking, I'm assuming it's Tuesday, September
13th.
after the recreation committee again?
Right.
So that would be the 7:30 or after. And actually I should make a quick comment. So last month, we had held the discussion on the squad car, and I will tell you that that is, I talked to the chairman of the committee, that's my mistake, that we didn't get that on the agenda. This incident we were talking about happened about 4 o'clock yesterday, and you'll notice on the agenda that we posted these agendas at 4:30, so to get it out, we got it out. I will just tell you that this is an item that I didn't have the discussion on the squad car on the agenda when I was at Swim Lake, and that wasn't right on my mind, so I do apologize, but
Oh.
it's not anything else, that's why it's not on there, it's my mistake, I apologize.
Circumstances, you know, it's,
Beyond your control.
No.
Okay. Nothing else, then I guess I will ask that we have a motion to go into closed session. Wisconsin statute 1981, parentheses 1C, consideration of employment, promotion, compensation, and performance evaluation data of city employees who are subject to the jurisdiction and authority of the council. Reason for the closed session is to discuss hiring process for a full-time police officer position. Committee may choose to reconvene in open session at the completion of the closed session in order to take action on items from the closed session.
I'll make a motion to go in closed session.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded. And we have a roll call.
Kemp,
Aye.
Henderson,
Aye.
Gage,
Aye.
it is 7:32.